Prevention and Intervention Strategies, Part 2. First, we're going to talk about limits, establishing clear and consistent limits, and give straightforward explanation for limits. So limits are statements of what behavior is appropriate. They ensure that the child knows what is expected. Limits should be clearly stated and relate to the safety and protection of self, others, and the environment. The younger the child, the simpler the limit. Limits should be consistently enforced and within a child's ability to understand. If children know the reason for the limits, they are more likely to comply. Teaching children the why behind a limit helps them internalize and learn the rules of society. Limits must be stated positively. Limits show children what to do rather than what not to do. Positive statements help reinforce appropriate behavior and provide positive models of communication for children to emulate, and also decrease the likelihood for children to respond with defensiveness. Focus on the behavior rather not on the child. Focusing on the behavior is probably one of the most important strategies. Messages that start with "you always" or "you never" can be damaging to a child's self-concept and may be perceived by the child as attacking or critical. They tend to produce feelings of guilt and shame and can ultimately result in lowering a child's self-esteem. When caregivers and teachers focus on the behavior rather than the child's character, they preserve a child's integrity and other positive guidance for learning. State what is expected rather than ask questions. Provide choices. Allow time for children to respond to expectations. The first strategy on this slide, state what is expected rather than pose a question. If you pose a question, you simply are implying that a child has a choice. If something really isn't a choice, don't turn your statement into a question. Only provide a choice if it is appropriate and if you're using offering choices. As a strategy, you need to make sure that both choices offered are appropriate and favorable. So you wouldn't say you can either get in line and go outside or you can lose your outdoor time. You choose. Instead, you can say you can stand at the back of the line and make sure that the door closes, or you can stand in the middle next to your friends. Where are you going to stand? Choices should be positive and empowering. Now, if you give a choice, also be sure to give child enough time to make their decision. The final strategy on this slide is about giving children a heads up when there's going to be a change in the schedule, activity, or routine. If you try to rush a child out of an activity without giving a warning, it may be disruptive and the child will certainly respond accordingly. Reinforce appropriate behavior with both words and gestures. When children are doing well, it is very important that you acknowledge this through words and gestures. Positive reinforcement helps children build confidence and encourages them to repeat desired behaviors. It is important for adults to focus on specific behavior rather than on the child. Ignore minor incidents. Encourage children to use you as a resource when they need. Scan and proximity. As teachers, we need to develop a tolerance to some of the more harmless behaviors. Sometimes it's noise, clutter, and attention-seeking behavior. As long as children are still being productive and aren't bothering anyone, but maybe you, it's okay to let it go. Children need to know that you are a resource. They should be comfortable coming to you when they have a problem. They need to know that you are there to protect and guide them. Children will learn that the adult is willing to listen and respond in a fair and supportive manner. Scanning the room helps the adult observe children in their activities. Use proximity when it is necessary to stay close by when a younger child is still learning to play together with others. And next we will go on to part 3.